Welcome to Atlanta Brick Co. Between the Studs, the best Lego podcast here at Atlanta Brick Co. at 9:30s on Friday. So thank you for joining us today. We've got two amazing guests here, two friends of mine from season 2 of Lego Masters. You've probably seen them. It's Bryan and Lauren Firks. How's it going, guys?
Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Mark. It's so good to see you.
I'm so excited for you guys. Yeah, it's so good to see you. We were just talking before we started filming that it has been a long and yet quick year since we saw each other. So, yeah. It's
flown by. I can't believe that so much time has passed, honestly.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And what an honor, too, to be speaking to one of the winners of Lego Masters Season 2. Woo! Congrats! So awesome. So incredible.
So exciting.
So deserved. Just awesome. So
Very
congrats
much.
again.
Thank you, guys. I sure appreciate it. People always ask what the best thing about the show was. It's like the awesome AFOLs we got to hang out with the entire time.
100%. Definitely just the friendships that we got to make is the best.
Yeah, so I was saying, it has been a long time. I think the last time we actually were hanging out or speaking, even over Zoom, was like when Moto was doing his live streams post-episode. So that was like, it would have ended September. So it's been months, and it's been a year since we saw each other physically filming. Today, we're actually talking about you guys. Let me get the questions up. A few simple questions about your experience on Lego Masters, because it's kind of I didn't realize going in like how big a deal it is, but it's like, millions of people watch every single episode of this thing, and tens of thousands of people apply to be on it. So just getting on the show is a mathematical miracle. Pat yourselves on the back. You guys are awesome. Lego celebrities, so it's fantastic. I had some questions, and we kind of went over them over email so we could get just the right ones. And I have a few for Bryan and Lauren, just kind of fun personality things, because you guys have some really interesting themes and things that you guys are interested in. So the Lego Masters questions we got today are: what was the best moment for you guys on Lego Masters? Best individual moment you can remember, and for both of you guys, if you have a distinct one that you can remember. So.
Yeah, for sure. There are so many good memories on the show, and so many that we probably share that we both loved. For me, the top moments had to be in the episode 2 challenge, where we got our win for our exploding frog build, which was early on. And really what made that so fun is all of the contestants were still there to celebrate that moment with us. We still had everybody. So it was so exciting for those fleeting, 30 seconds that we got to celebrate with everybody. It was a really magical moment and something that, I'll treasure. Yeah. So it was really special.
Yeah, sure. I agree. That's one of my top ones. And then another one of my favorite memories is something that didn't actually end up getting aired, but in episode 5, Will, which was the hanging brick episode, Will actually called our mom on my cell phone. He wanted to talk to our mom. Like, he was like, and then someone back from production actually got my phone, because we're not allowed to have our phones there. Yeah. Went in the back, got the phone, brought it out. I called my mom, and I basically... you're like, it's live. Will's right there. And I just remember she picked up. I didn't know if she was going to pick up or not. She picked up the phone, and I just go, "Hi, Mom. You're on Lego Masters. Here's Will." And I just handed her the phone. And then our mom talked to Will, and he wanted to know what we were like as kids, if we fought, like what we were like. And my mom, she's so sweet and so talkative, and they hit it off. And they were probably on the phone for like upwards of 10 minutes, like cracking jokes, talking, and everyone in the whole studio, like all the teams, like everyone was listening in, cracking up, paying attention, because it was so obvious. And then all the camera crew were there, and it was just this moment of, oh my God, Will is on the phone with our mom right now. What is happening? Like, it was so, especially we had gone so long without. This was week 5 of the show, and so our mom didn't know anything that was happening. So it was just exciting. It was so fun.
That's wonderful. As soon as they brought the phone, we're like, oh my goodness, Bryan and Lauren are having to talk to Will, and they have all these questions they hammered at him, and then it's like, wait, what are they bringing a phone out for? What is going on? So everyone's listening, and we were like, that is amazing. So that was so cool.
Oh, it was awesome. Great memory, and very unexpected.
Totally. And like, your mom had no context whatsoever. She got a call from you apparently out of the blue, and then it's like, Will's on the phone. To have the composure to just be able to answer questions and chat, that's just awesome. So
she did so well. Yeah. And Will asked what our mom's name was, before getting the phone. So he just hops on, "Hi, Margie." And he just says our mom's name.
In the Batman voice. Yeah.
Oh, it was
Exactly.
so good. And then from then on out, he would always bring up how Margie was, and he'd say he was part of our family. Like that was his bit with us.
Yeah.
We're like, what are you guys having for dinner tonight? I'm coming over.
Yeah.
And as a like a little segue into that, he had spent a lot of time in LA for like Hollywood stuff and stuff in that kind of Southern California area. Did you guys kind of relate to Will over that kind of culture and environment, kind of shared experiences?
We did a little bit. We definitely had some traffic jokes, like just
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh.
you have to. It's classic. Yeah, just a few like Southern California things back and forth. But I feel like Will wants to have that Canadian pride too. So I feel like he brings that with him just as much as he does his LA pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was still fun to chat with him about LA stuff.
That's cool. Yeah. Steven and I were trying to communicate with Will, and we're like, all your humor is like way over our heads, and we're trying to find some common ground here. But we did have a good time with him. But sometimes we're like, we just build Lego, dude.
Exactly. And sometimes he's just riffing with himself. He's just trying to make himself laugh and just
100%.
You're just trying to keep up with the ride. It's amazing. So.
Exactly.
That was hilarious. I was like, sometimes I feel almost in tears, like laughing because he was so funny.
And then he got over to Philip and Maria, and it was just like an hour of constant laughter. It was amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so fun.
Here's another fun question for you guys. It's what was the most interesting challenge on Lego Masters? And it doesn't have to be one that you participated in. It could have been international, it could be Australia, it could be other ones. What is the most, like, you saw a clip of it or you were participated in it and you were like, dude, this is insane. Can you think of a challenge or two that really strikes you as amazing?
Yeah, I know mine.
All right, what's yours, Lauren?
The hats.
Agreed.
Thank you.
And having to do, both Mark and I, we walked that runway with a very heavy Lego hat.
They're the faces.
I think both Bryan and I were like, we never ever dreamed or envisioned that could ever be a potential challenge. Yeah. So that was a shock, a surprise, a challenge. But in the end, it ended up being one of my all-time favorite episodes. I'd say that was one of the hardest building process that we had, but the outcome of it, that is one of my favorite builds. I love that hat, and I loved the camaraderie we had behind the stage of that whole episode. So that is just such a highlight. Cheering each other on. It was so emotional, and I have a performing background, and so having that anticipation and adrenaline rush before going on is something that I'm used to from the past, and I love that just camaraderie. So, and just the fact that we had to make fashionable fashion with an accessory and a hat was something I did not consider. So that one is mine.
Yeah,
for sure.
I totally agree. In terms of the US, I'd say the hats for sure. Like that one just takes the cake. That was wild. I'd say for internationally, I was blown away by a challenge in Australia. I believe it was in season 2 of Australia, where they submerged the builds underwater on a huge platform, and you had to see how your build reacted to being completely submerged. Yep. And then Hamish, the host, would like dive in and like look at the builds underwater, and I was like, this is so cool. So I was actually thinking that we'd see something like that for our season. Like I kind of had that in my brain. I would literally test, like I would like bring out like pots of water and would test the floating abilities of Lego bricks and like see what would work, because I was so sure that was going to be in our season, and it wasn't. So I'm curious if we'll see any water-based things in season 3, but yeah.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll get to the speculation part of this little interview in a second for sure. But yeah, that's one of the things we'll have to talk about. Will we see water? Yeah, Lauren, I gotta agree with you. One of the highlights for sure, just because, first of all, it's the craziest challenge ever. Never would have seen it coming. And then everyone was so like absolutely together. It wasn't like, oh, my hat's going to be better than their team. No, it wasn't any of that. It was just like, yeah, go everybody, go Maria, go Moto. So it was like
just hoping. And then all of us in our bright outfits too was hilarious. I remember us behind the stage all putting on our outfits, like our crayon colors.
Yeah, we literally were like crayons lined up. It was hilarious.
So special in my heart, that whole day.
Yeah. We need a 2-hour cut of that episode, I think. But
100% agreed.
All the episodes, but that one.
Yeah, the stuff they didn't have time for. There's so much there. Yeah.
Maybe on Hulu or Tubi one day. We'll see. They got it all somewhere. So next question we've got. So in season 1, they had a really cool Star Wars tie-in towards the end of the season. And looking forward to season 3, it looks like there's a Jurassic World Jurassic Park tie-in. We saw a brief clip of Chris Pratt spoilers on the latest teaser for season 3. So is there a particular brand or IP that you would just be over the moon to participate in on a challenge if in a Lego Masters situation? What is something that would just, I think I already know Brian's answer.
I think I know what you think that I would want, and you're right. So my favorite all-time Lego theme is Lord of the Rings, and that's like number one. But taking into account that that's no longer an active theme, I would say Harry Potter would be my number one hope and expectation that like maybe one day we'll see a Harry Potter castle-based build challenge. If that happened in our season, that would have been insanely cool. So yeah, that for me would be top. Yeah.
That would be amazing. What about you, Lauren?
So mine would be, I think this is easy to guess, but it would definitely be Disney, some sort of Disney tie-in. And as you know, with our builds, Brian and I love fantasy. We grew up going to Disneyland. We are very much love all the stories that Disney tells, but an offshoot of Disney and something that Lego also has amazing sets of would be specifically the Disney parks, because I am the biggest Disney parks person. Like, I'm obsessed. So I think that would be amazing to either build the rides or to build, I mean, that's like how we've got the castle, and we also have the Main Street train station, but in order, like, imagine building Space Mountain or Indiana Jones or something like that.
Or Avatar, or
like the Dream Park theme park challenge, but Disneyland style, you know, like that would
up
be
the ante.
So cool.
That would be super cool.
Some amazing ideas. But hopefully that some of the producers watch this video, because these are really great ideas. I mean, maybe season 3 or 4, we'll see. We don't know what's coming up yet, but it's gonna be awesome.
I love it, but that would be amazing
for sure. Very cool. Well, great answers. I kind of expected them. At the same time, I think for good reason, right? So being on Lego Masters, a lot of people see you, a lot of people recognize you. You got a great look, personality. People relate to you. They're gonna recognize you in the wild, out in normal day-to-day life. But can you remember a specific instance in the wild where that was unusual or really awesome, like a really wholesome experience? Was there anything in particular that stood out to you? Something like, oh, I remember this one time this fan. What is your moment for you guys, though?
I've got 2. One was really fun. It was actually when Brian and I went to Disneyland together one day, and we were with one of our best friends, Kayla, who we've known since we were tiny, like tiny. And we were all going on the ride, and these 2 fans were actually in the line, and they saw Brian and I together, and they got so excited, and it was so heartwarming, and they started kind of screaming and jumping up and down.
Excited,
really excited, and it was so sweet. And they asked to take a picture, and I think I was like putting on sunscreen afterwards. I think we were just casually headed over to go on the ride, and they were so sweet. We actually had a few different people recognize us in that ride.
In that line.
In the line for that ride. And take selfies with us. So that was really special, because Brian and I have spent so much time at Disneyland growing up, and so it was really exciting and so fun for our friend Kayla to witness it, who is a super fan of the show. And just so sweet. And I think the second one was actually one that was more out of the blue. It was more recently, and I was just in my hometown, Laguna Beach area, just shopping with my friend on a Saturday in this little local store. And this cute family came up to me with their little son and said that their son had recognized me. He was too shy to say anything, but the family came up and asked if I was Lauren from Lego Masters. I said, oh, yes, I am. And I think it's just so sweet, because you just think about, and that was months after the show had finished airing. And so it just makes me think how more people are watching the show or binge it later, and how much of an impact it has on bringing families together. And I think that's really special.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah. Second at 100%. That was really fun at Disneyland. We had one other one that was really fun when we were both at Legoland together, which is a place where, you'd probably expect there would be some Lego fans there who watch the show. But we had a really funny one where there was this dad who saw us, and his family was somewhere else, but the dad like sprinted up to us and was like, wait just 1 second, my family's in the bathroom, they're coming out, just hold right here. And so he had us like literally like wait, and then like as his family was coming out, he was like like pointing and like making a big thing of it. It was really funny. And his two daughters like came running up, and it was really sweet. Yeah,
that actually reminds me of one other one at Legoland when we were there, because we've gone a few times, and this was after I think only first or two episodes were out, and this woman ran following us, and she goes, I'm not stalking you, I just have to say hi. Like, because we were walking, and all of a sudden I see this woman just go like this, running behind, and she was so sweet. But that was at the beginning. We were only first starting to get recognized, and it was like, oh, whoa. Like, it was really.
So that was new back earlier on. Yeah, wow. So, but I gotta say, those are some A+ parents. Their kids are in the bathroom. The kids are too shy to do it, and they're like, "Are you from Lego Masters?" So they're good parenting right there. Good pro tip for parents out there. If you see a possible celebrity, just ask. They're gonna be nice. So yeah, cool. All right. Awesome. So here's an interesting one. You figured out you're going on Lego Masters. Wow. Did you do anything beforehand to kind of prep for this experience? I mean, obviously, they don't tell you a lot going in. And you just kind of you've seen the first season, you don't have a lot of expectations. What did you do to prepare? Did you get some Lego books? Did you build some sets? Anything particular that you guys did in preparation for it? So.
Yeah, definitely. We did a couple of things that really stood out, and it was actually seeing season 1 helped a lot in kind of managing the expectations. And I knew that motion was going to be a factor. I knew that motors, working with gears, and all these things that, to be honest, I have very limited experience with, going in, like, I'm not like a powered up, technical whiz, know how to use all of these things. So I did pretty extensive work on that. And that was kind of, that kind of was like my thing, that I was like, okay, Lauren, don't worry, I got this.
Yeah, I don't know how to do any of that. I still don't. It is fully Bryan. Bryan did all of that.
So I was like, I'll figure this out. So I like figured out how to get like a flapping wing motion, or like, how do you have something move side to side, or a kind of a fulcrum. I just kind of figured out some basic techniques.
Yeah.
But then together we did some stuff too. And I feel like that mostly revolved around our communication, because we were anticipating needing to go to the brick pit a lot, have a really good system down for what we call bricks. So what we do is we just like take a big bin and we'd pour it out on a table, and then we'd switch in telling each other what bricks we need to do this little task. So we kind of got our shorthand down for like, okay, this is what we're going to call this brick, even though it has a long convoluted title, we're going to call it this, and so we got our language down.
I think that really helped. I think that definitely helped when we were there.
Mm-hmm. So that's like absolutely genius. Because, like, first of all, Steven and I completely underestimated the need for Technic and motors going in. So we're just like, oh, we've done them a few times. We'll be fine. No, it was like every challenge. And then, so kudos.
Definitely doing that, because season 1 was not like that at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Not as much for sure. They had some cool motion, but I think season 2 was like, if you don't do motion, that's the prompt of the challenge. It's like, chop rocks. Yeah. You guys are brilliant. That was like, if you can do anything to prepare for Lego Masters, that's brilliant. If you haven't built with your partner in a little while, then each piece is like, mentally you know exactly what it is, but you can't just airdrop that photo into the other person's brain, right? So you have to have a way to describe what you're working with. And there's so many pieces. So yeah, that's really definitely pro tips for those who are interested in getting a Lego Masters. You want to watch this video because they have done the research. They were ready. So that's awesome. For sure. Now we get into some of the more like specific, related to you guys questions. Those are kind of general Lego Masters questions. Now we're getting to about you guys. So these I think the more fun. So Bryan, I already know this, but did you really dress up as Johnny Thunder for our costume contest? I just think this is a really fascinating subject. I want to hear the full story right now. So.
The answer is yes. I dressed up as Johnny Thunder when I was 4 years old. It was for Halloween, the costume contest at Legoland, California. And for the costume, wore a giant cardboard box painted, with the little scarf, with the pocket, with the buttons. Yeah, his little handkerchief.
A little revolver in the pocket.
Yeah, the revolver in the pocket. Had a painted on mustache. Had the sideburns, the lines, wore a big hat, and then big styrofoam pants. I literally had like block pants made out of styrofoam. And it was just awesome. And to have a reference point, because we were like, I don't know if everybody's going to recognize Johnny Thunder because he's very specific to a theme. We put the little minifig on my shoulder. I was like, look to see exactly this is it. This is who I am. Yeah, and it actually ended up winning the Legoland costume contest, and I walked home with a little Lego lunchbox filled with goodies, and it was just the best day. Yeah.
So good.
So do
and
you
did
still
you
have that
mention
lunchbox?
your hands?
I didn't. I wore yellow gloves and held my hands like this the entire time. And there was like a dancing part after the contest, and so I was like dancing around with my hands like this.
So do you still have that lunchbox, or is it?
Oh, I still have the lunchbox. Yeah, it's still there. Yeah, it's like a tin lunchbox, yellow, shape of a 2x4. Awesome.
Amazing. So if you were dressed up as Johnny Thunder, I assume you were a big Johnny Thunder fan growing up. You had a few of the sets.
Yes, I love the adventurers theme. That's just one of my all-time favorites. I love it so much that I've even written some of my own like fictional stories in the Johnny Thunder universe, and I'm very into it. Yeah, so I think the characters are great. I used to get these books. They had these like puzzle books that they'd release in tandem with the sets, and there are ones that are just I forget what it is, but almost like the Curse of the Mummy or something like that, and you had to solve these puzzles, and I remember that really fondly. So. Yeah,
That's awesome. I wish we had you closer to us because we just had an hour-long chat with me and a coworker, Daniel, about Adventurers, and we're going through all the sets and all the lore and stuff. He knows more than I do, and I was a big fan growing up, but I just kind of a casual fan. I think you super fans would have had an amazing time.
Yeah.
But so Lauren, what about you? Let's see. We got a question for you. Let's see. You're really big into Disney, like Disney parks, Disney princesses. So. Lauren, what is your favorite Disney princess movie? If you could pick one, what would it be? And why is it Tangled?
That one's one of my favorites.
Now, I do love Tangled. As you know, we did make a Rapunzel tower.
Yes.
But I'd say, actually, I will say, one thing I love about Tangled is in the end, it is her who saves the day because she sacrifices herself and she cuts off. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. I love her. But besides that, my favorite is probably Beauty and the Beast. I love Belle. I love the music. And also, I'm such a bookworm. I love reading too in my free time a lot. And I always resonated with Belle with that in the big library. So, and I used to, I loved Belle when I was younger. But then as I got older, I took French classes in high school. So I just wanted to be Belle, you know?
Yep.
I wanted to be her. So that's a top. That is definitely like a top Disney princess. I'm loving all the new movies that they're putting out too, but Belle holds a special place in my heart, 100%. I love her.
And so, live action or old animated?
Oh, old animated.
I was about to say, just to be clear.
Tune in the new version. I couldn't get behind that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to enjoy in those movies, but you know, they had to start somewhere, and that was the best part.
Yeah. So that, and I really like Emma Watson, but that just wasn't the right move in my opinion. But so yeah, original 100%. I could watch that movie over and over again or just have it on in the background. It's so nostalgic and makes me so happy. I love it.
That's awesome. A go-to for me is actually Mulan, just because I love the Make a Man Out of You. That song, I don't know, it's my jam. So
she's amazing.
I'm not at all afraid of saying I just absolutely adore Disney princesses. I don't tell my coworkers that, but yes.
We love them. Love it.
So the last question we have before we get into speculation, we'll talk about speculation for another 10 minutes, whatever. So we already, first of all, amazing prep ideas. Secondly, if there's any other advice for people that are kind of hoping and dreaming about being on Lego Masters, do you have anything like definitely do this, definitely don't do that? What's some advice for people hoping?
It's hard to give advice accurately because every team is so different. You never know what they're looking for. At least from our experience, Lauren and I, we applied cold, which is sometimes the case and sometimes not in the casting process. Sometimes they find people online, but Lauren and I just send in a cold video application, and they saw from our video something that they wanted to pursue. So we had to go through every step of the process. You know, we didn't get to skip any steps. We had to do the whole thing. And through that, I think what we found, at least in what they were asking us, is really wanting to know our interaction as a team and like how we relate to each other. That seemed a lot more important to them than anything else, really. Like it was all about like, how do you guys relate to each other? What's your relationship like? Are you nice? Are you mean? Like, do you fight? Are you, like, who's more
What's the team
competitive?
image going to be, kind of?
Yeah, so then they're trying to hone in on what your team brand is going to be. And that, that word almost kind of hurts to say, like, you're a brand, it's like, oh, but at the same time, I think when they're looking for these teams, they are looking for teams that are instantly identifiable with some kind of brand. And so I think a lot of their talk with us was trying to find that, like, what is our thing, what is our brand. So if you know or have a sense of what that might be going in, I think that can only help you in the process.
You got any thoughts on that, Lauren? Just kind of second that.
I think I definitely agree with what Bryan is saying, and I would also say it's definitely like a long process, and it's longer, shorter for others. It just depends. But I think what also probably helps is having a portfolio of different builds. Obviously, they ask you to send images. They ask you if you have links to pages or if you're involved. So I think it's really good to have that organized. For instance, Bryan had recently created his Lego Instagram, and so that was a really good. It was a good portfolio that he had created. And so that I think is helpful. I don't know if you want to elaborate more on that as well, Bryan.
No, I totally agree. And it was brand new. So the timing was like just right. I had like just like maybe 2 months before had just kind of taken all the proper photos, with the nice photo studio, and everything. So
you're just like, here you go, guys.
Exactly. So the images were just right there. And I was like, I got this. Here you go. So it made that part very easy. So, and I was thinking about that. I was doing it. I was like, ooh, if this was me like 2 months ago trying to apply, this would have been brutal, trying to take nice pictures of all of my builds. And so having that ready to go. That's a good thing.
That's probably a good thing for people to do in advance now, or maybe if you haven't done it, to do that in advance before you apply, if you know that you want to apply.
Exactly. Yeah. So team dynamic, super important. And then document your creative Lego things you've done. Because if you say, oh, I love Lego, and then it's like, well, do you have a picture? It's like, I built something last Christmas. Yeah, no, not gonna fly. You have to have a photo to send them. So
I think similarly to you as well, like Lego has been in our lives our whole life pretty much. I mean, it was introduced to Bryan when he was so little, and then he introduced it to me when I was so little. So we have got tons of photos at Legoland growing up, Bryan in the Johnny Thunder costume, us playing Lego Star Wars as tiny kids. I mean, so much to talk about too. And so I think it's good to think about how all the ways you interact with Lego in your life, because there are so many. So that was something that Bryan and I thought of ahead of time too, as we were applying.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of those photos actually made it onto the show in some quick cuts. You could see, I remember seeing like home footage of you guys playing with Lego as like toddlers. I'm like, wow, they got that documented. That's awesome. So.
You see some of that totally. And that was something that we said even from our first video interview. We talked about that was kind of the basis of how we defined ourselves as a team, is just the amount of time we've had with the Lego brand as siblings in our lives.
So wholesome. Awesome stuff. All right.
And I bet it's similar with you and Steven too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like my best friend at the time, Riley, he got me started on Lego. I was probably 5 and Steve was like 4. So, and then we never stopped, just that's all we did. Every other toy was sidelined, video games. Yeah. So Lego, yeah. So if you enjoy Lego and you want to get on Lego Masters, make sure that you're able to get at least somehow document and be able to share that experience. So yeah. Cool. All right. So that's all for season 2 and what we experienced. It was amazing discussion there. Thank you guys. And then so now we get to a little fun chat about what's coming up. And what's interesting, I didn't realize that they would drop the teaser before this interview. So we now have a little bit of content to actually discuss. I'm guessing you guys have both seen the teaser, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. We've seen it.
The first specific question we have is, do you think we'll see any more celeb cameos besides Chris Pratt? Or you think that's pretty much going to round us out? Because that was pretty amazing, but is there another celebrity you think you'll see? And who would you want to see?
That's a good question. So if I'm thinking of season 1, there were multiple celeb cameos, right? I think we had 2. Is that right?
Terry Crews and Mayim Bialik, right? Is that right?
Yes. Nicole Byer. Did you say Nicole Byer as well?
She was on briefly on a phone call. So,
I think she even came in for an episode.
Wasn't she driving a car?
She drove in the car.
Driving a car?
Yeah. They had 3. Wow, they had a lot. So in that case, maybe I'd expect another one.
Yeah, at least one more. So
All
Yeah.
right.
Because I guess Chris Pratt, he's also Marvel, isn't he? But it looks
And
like they're doing
Jurassic,
Jurassic
which-
with him.
Yeah.
So
clearly, raptors are being featured somehow. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, he's the Lego movie. He's
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
Emmett.
so I
He's
and I
Emmett.
think more Lego movie tie-ins would be awesome. I feel like that would be so cool just to get anybody from the cast. I mean, you already have Will, you know, so you have that baseline. But yeah, if you get anybody else from the Lego movie cast, that would be really cool. So you could get, ooh, okay, I've got one. This is like a pipe dream, but Orlando Bloom is a known big Lego fan. He builds
Yes.
all the time with his kids, has a huge shelf, like in his video calls, it's like behind him, and he's Legolas. He's like my guy. He's Lord of the Rings. So if you see Orlando Bloom come in, like, yes, I would faint.
Yep, I'll be messaging you, Bryan. It happened, Bryan.
Yes,
that would be
that
so
would
cool.
blow my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a
That's
really good one.
What about you, Lauren? Any particular celeb you would just?
For me, what just made me think would be my dream as a child and to an adult would be Natalie Portman because of Padme. I would die.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because she's all my favorite Lego minifigs are all the versions of Padme, and she is Padme.
Yeah.
That would be my ultimate dream.
And she might be
Padme.
Thor here soon too.
Yeah, right? She's Padme, quote unquote, Claude from
Yes,
the Lego video
the
game that Lauren
best,
loves.
the best. So yeah, that would be like, oh my gosh.
I think that if I were to pick a few, I'd say Elizabeth Banks, who's the voice of Wildstar, will be fun.
Yes.
So that'd be
Oh
cool,
my
like a movie tie-in, and then also Charlie Day because he's the voice of Benny. And he could if he did something with spaceships and just said spaceship, I would just be like, woo, Benny! So.
That's so cool.
And if it's tied in with a space challenge, ooh,
That's such a good idea.
yeah.
Maybe we'll see. There's still a lot of content that they haven't shown in the teaser.
So much. I know it's going to be so interesting to see whatever they show bits and pieces of.
Yeah.
Since we lived it last time, we knew what they were showing, but now we have to be little sleuths.
We're just guessing now, so we get to enjoy the speculation all day long. It's great. One other question I had for you guys: you actually get a full shot of the cast, which is I'm surprised they did that. I don't think they did that for our season. You can see pretty much everybody. I mean, obviously it's if you're watching on your phone, it's small and fuzzy, but you can see a awesome group of people. Looking forward to meeting them and hanging out with them. But did you recognize anybody on that roster?
Surprisingly, no. I mean, I guess no with an asterisk. There was one person who I recognize but don't know personally, and I think his handle is Bricky Nick, and he's he's somebody who I know guest appeared on Talk Bricks and talked with Michael from Talk Bricks, who we've all chatted with multiple times, and I've seen him around in the community, and I recognized him as continuing the legacy of wearing a blazer. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Somebody's got to have it, right?
He's got to have it. You need a blazer guy, apparently, every season of Lego Masters.
Apparently.
Season 1 had 2, and so it's just you need it. But I recognized him, and I was surprised to not have recognized many other people. I think our assumption, at least Lauren and I were thinking that from our casting final, when you get really far in the casting process, you kind of get to see other people. And we thought maybe there would be some familiar faces maybe from there otherwise, but at least from just that initial glance, I didn't recognize anyone. So yeah.
I felt the exact same thing. I did notice, and don't quote me on this because I haven't looked back after I noticed this, but it did look like one of the female contestants was having to wear heels.
I saw that too.
And that just, I feel for that so hard because there was one day when I had to wear heeled boots and my legs ached. And then the other most of the shoes weren't mine. And so my feet, it's hard when you're standing for a lot of hours and running back and forth. So I feel for her when I saw that. I
noticed that too. Yeah, I was surprised.
I'm very curious about that.
I'm curious if that's just the first episode, and then it'll be a never again,
And hopefully she was able to kick him off when she was building and standing for most of the days.
Yeah.
But that was
I remember-
interesting, yeah. So I'm looking at all the outfits and all the teams, saying
Yeah.
what are the team brands, trying to figure it out.
That was one thing I wanted to briefly bring up is I noticed one team at least seemed to be wearing like proudly Canadian garb, and
Yeah.
that intrigued me because I didn't realize. I guess I should have known this, but that it was Lego Masters North America, maybe as opposed
It's Lego
to
Masters Fox.
USA. Lego Masters Fox.
It's
Yeah,
does they have Fox in Canada? Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
wonder.
so I was a little surprised. Like, all right, Canada, bring it on. This is awesome. Yeah,
They're gonna have a lot to talk to Will about then, if that's
they
the case.
will.
Exactly. Maybe Will had something to do with it. He's like, hey, we need some Canadians on here. Let's bring it.
Oh my god, it's gonna be so. I'm just so interested
Yeah.
for when that
me
season
too.
drops. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Really exciting. So yeah, lots of mystery and all these characters that you just want to have a chat with and figure out what their story is. So hopefully we'll get some breakdowns of what they're all about in the first few episodes to understand what their characters are. But so we got to see just a little bit of the challenges, mostly explosions. But do you guys have any speculations about that? And like anything you probably think like this is probably going to happen, or like I don't think this is going to happen, especially like in regards to season 1 was the storytelling season. Season 2 was the will it stand up to the physical challenge season. What do you think season 3 is going to be? Is it going to be even crazier, or is it going to be a mix? What are you guys thinking?
I know Lauren and I have thoughts on this because we kind of thought about that a lot in terms of our season, in terms of like watching season 1, we love stories that kind of felt like in our wheelhouse.
Yeah, we are
season 2
storytellers.
being a lot of adapting, to something new, that was very unfamiliar for us. So so I'm curious if in season 3 maybe we'll see a mix. That's kind of my hope. I would love to see an even blend, technical storytelling, and I think that would be probably the most satisfying version of the show to watch. But yeah, we did see a lot of explosions, but also I've thought about this a lot, but I noticed for our season the marketing promotional materials, it was all a wrecking ball. So it's like already it's going to be like, what can it withstand? It's like physical tests of strength. This season, it's Will with Lego sunglasses. So I'm like, that doesn't tell me one way or the other. So I don't know what to expect.
What's funny is that our season had a wrecking ball, but I think they showed us in the previews that they literally are doing a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
That's true.
Which
They
is
literally
funny.
are doing that.
We didn't actually have a real one, but that looks
Yeah.
like that's going to be one of their challenges
their
or what happens to
challenges.
the builds.
That was cool looking. My guess, I feel like it's very common in Lego Masters shows for the second episode to be something bombastic, where something like explodes or ignites, or it was the space smash for season 1 and it was explosions for season 2. So if I were to speculate, I'd say probably episode 2 we could be looking at those wrecking balls. Yeah, we'll see.
Miley Cyrus comes in. No.
Yeah. That's the guest cameo.
There you go. Yeah, I called it if that happens. So, but yeah, no. Yeah, so fun challenges to look forward to. Just from the few seconds of footage, it looks like we're going to see the wrecking ball, explosions, and I think I saw what looked like that they were on water or something. I don't know. There's some.
Yes.
I'm hoping water, because you were talking about that earlier in the interview, Brian. We're hoping for some water, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too, and it looked like an explosion in the water almost. Is what
That's what I was seeing, at least from the like half second of.
half a second. Yeah. Another thing that I noticed from the teaser, I was trying to pick out when the Jurassic World challenge might be, and I was doing some like close analysis of that. And I noticed, there was like a shot where you can see teams running back to their station with the Jurassic World logo behind them. And there are a lot of teams. We're talking like maybe all or close to all. So that makes me think it will happen pretty early in the competition, as opposed to Star Wars in season 1, which is at the tail end.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
I think that's a good call. Were they holding like eggs?
They were holding dino eggs, which is cool. I imagine it will be one of those things where it's like, open the egg, and that will prompt you with something for the challenge.
Like that, because we didn't really have anything. Did we have anything like that? Season 1 did. I don't think we had anything we had to go
we had to
grab.
open something.
They had stars and other things for like their movie themes.
Yeah.
I guess we had our like colors for the hat.
Yeah. Well, we ran and grabbed them. Yeah. So.
Because that was like our version of that. But yeah, I saw them holding the dino eggs and running, and I'm just thinking, oh, we'll see what's gonna happen.
All that running. I remember charging off the stands to get something. That was, oh my goodness, all the memories.
Yes.
All the memories. Yeah, that brings it flooding back totally, the thought of running down. And yeah. Ugh.
Oh my God.
Exactly. Now, so I know that for a couple people from season 2 and other seasons too, like there's a little bit of like you get the good feelings, but also the bad feelings of how like stressful and scary it could be. So, have you seen any Lego Masters content post show? Have you watched Australia? Have you seen some of that? And do you get a good feeling? Is it all good vibes, or do you get a little anxiety too? Because I know that most of the time it's good, but sometimes when a team's struggling, I'm like, I've been there. I know what that's like, and I just kind of get that little ball of anxiety inside. I'm like, ugh. How do you guys feel watching the show? Like, watching season 3, what do you think you're going to be feeling when you see the first episode and they all come out for the first time? What are you going to be feeling?
Oh, I think you put it really well, Mark. I feel really similarly to you. And there's that excitement. There's that putting yourself in their shoes again, remembering that moment of walking out on set, just being there, being part of that energy. But then at certain times, there's that immense stress, that comes with it. And I think that when we're watching season 3 might come with this sigh of relief of like, whew, at least it's not me.
Yeah, exactly. You get to remember you're just watching the show. You're not there. It didn't happen. Yeah.
I think I'll definitely feel some stress, some anxiety for sure. And I think I'm definitely going to be looking for all the cuts, trying to figure out what's happening, see if there's like things are more built in the back. I always look for all those cuts, try and figure it out, because I did that. I mean, we lived it, so we know what happened in our season, but we didn't live this season. So I think I'm totally going to be like watching, rewind. Like
pause that. Wait, what happened there?
Another thing that will be interesting to see, I know, like when we were watching the episodes, knowing what happened, it was kind of easier to analyze the edit of the episode, and you could kind of like see the way that they were telling the story based on the way that they cut it together. And I'm curious if I watch it with that lens again for season 3, if it can kind of be like,
we'll be able to know what's going to happen based on the editing.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we'll be more in the dark, but we have at least an inkling of what's going on behind the scenes. So it's like maybe they weren't actually mad at each other; they're just having fun. Yeah, then he's yelling. Yes,
which is usually the case.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, I think that rounds us out. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, having a great chat. It has been wonderful to see you again, and so good to have a great chat about Lego Masters. And looking forward to season 3 with you guys.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for having us. It's been great chatting with you. Great seeing you again. Thank you for everything.
Agreed. Awesome. Yes, thank you. This has been so much fun. I've loved it.
Thanks, guys, for watching. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit the like, comment, and subscribe buttons. We sure appreciate it. More Lego Masters content coming out very soon, every Friday at 9:30. Check it out.